Hello, everyone. Welcome to Anthropology 141L, Biological Anthropology Laboratory. All right, first things to say about getting started in this course is sort of how this course fits in with the rest of biological anthropology. The faculty in this department have sort of designed all of the laboratory courses to interface with all of the other lecture courses. If you're taking a biological anthropology lab now concurrently, it'll flow with any instructor that you have. And if you previously had a biological anthropology course here, a lecture course, you can expect the flow to be very similar to what you've seen before, no matter what lecture that you've actually had. I think the major differences are sort of in your professor's personality. Really, that's the way it is. And also, I think, in how the course is going to be taught. So this semester, this course is completely asynchronous, just to let you know. There aren't going to be regular sort of Zoom meetings. I'm not going to be doing that because it's just too difficult during the time of the COVID. I mean, everybody's scrambling around trying to make a living. A lot of stresses are high, and to try to get everyone together at one time, in front of a computer, just to do a lecture doesn't make sense to me. So I'll be placing all of sort of the lecture components, into videos like this, in which you can watch at your own time, and then get a hold of me if you need to by having questions, and I'll explain how to do that. So, before we actually look at what's on this page, actually, the first thing we want to do is pop open the syllabus, and let's walk through a few sort of key points to help you get started in the course. So, go over to the left-hand side, and right-click where it says syllabus, and just bring that up in a new tab or a new window, and open it up real quick. So I'm going to pause it for just 1 second here. Okay, so I hope you have that syllabus up. So the first thing to look at is my contact information. There it is, Professor Chris Mercer. So here's the thing is that I don't know anybody on the campus here that calls me Professor Mercer. It's just kind of strange. Everybody just calls me Mercer. My kids call me Mercer. It's kind of funny. Mercer, Mercer, Harvey Mercer. If I had another kid, I'd name them Mercer Mercer. So just Mercer. And your emails to me, Mercer. It just flows naturally. Okay. Um, so to get a hold of Mercer, me, here's the best thing to do, is voice. So there's my number right there. It's 925-335-6298. So here's the thing about my contact hours. Um, I can guarantee, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, unless I'm like in a faculty meeting or I'm driving somewhere, and I'll see your phone call coming in within an hour or so, I'll get back to you. No problem at all with that. Evening's a little bit difficult because I have kids running around. I go to soccer practice, take care of them, or, do something, or go out in the town with the spouse and have to socialize. And, that it will detract me. I won't be able to take your phone call. But here's the deal. You can try me in the evenings. I have no problem with that. So if you try to call and go, Mercer didn't answer, you must be mad or something. No, it's not that. It's just I had other stuff to do. And normally, like if you try to call me at 7, if I can get back home by 9 or so, maybe 10, I'll try to give you a call back. After that, it's a little bit late and I'm going to be fading out. After 10 o'clock at night, I'm good up to 9. Yeah, I'm good up to 9. After that, I'm going to be fading, and I'm probably not going to be very good in the conversation. All right. Now, weekends sort of the same thing. Availability is the bigger issue. I don't mind you calling on weekends whatsoever. That's sort of the way non-class is. Much of the work that you're going to be doing and studying is going to be on the weekend, and you sort of need someone maybe to talk about the material to make all the bits and pieces sort of fit together. So definitely, you can always try to call me on the weekends. Normally, if I have an activity, I'll see you're trying to call me. I'm just busy, and it may be several hours before I get back to you, or maybe like you try to call me on Saturday and I'm just logged all Saturday. I will give you a call back on Sunday. So I want you to know that lifeline through me is always going to be there, and particularly in asynchronous mode, it's really important. Okay. Now you can text me too. So that phone number you can always text. It's just text is slower. Text is really a good way to sort of set up sort of voice meetings. So like, hey Mercer, can we talk like in an hour? Like that means I know I can tell you, oh yeah, you betcha. So it can make sure that you can slot me into your schedule in the best way that sort of fits. I want you to think about it that way too, because you're really very important to me. Now, additionally, what I'm going to be doing is on Mondays and Thursdays in the morning between 10 and 11, I'm also going to be available on chat. You'll see a little chat app over there. So if you or if you click on the chat app, don't do it now because it'll knock you off this page. But if you click on the chat, it's just really much like a text message program if you haven't used it before. So I'll be there for, in the mornings on Monday and Thursday for an hour. We can talk back and forth. And additionally, If you need sort of visual help, you want to show me something and like you're working on your timeline project or something, we want to like show like examples or something, text message me and we'll set up a Zoom meeting, right? I'll just send you a little Zoom invite, and at some period we can spend some time, an hour or two, whatever you need, 10 minutes, whatever you need, working sort of visually together to look at sort of stuff too. So that is also a really good option for you, right? So anything that I can do to be present to help you, especially when we're in asynchronous mode, right? Let you know that I'm always here for you. Okay. So because this is sort of a brief introduction, getting started, we're not going to go through the whole syllabus. We'll do a little of that, when the first module happens, but not yet. Let's go down to some stuff though that's really important, I think, for you right now. So as you're scrolling down to the syllabus, you're going to see a lot of help stuff available for you, and most of the stuff is on Canvas. So if you haven't used Canvas before, I've got a quick start guide for you. There's some video guides, as well as some links for those of you that might need some financial aid, financial help, or some work on campus. There's some stuff down there for you and some resources. And lastly, for DSS students, what we want to think about is if you are a DSS student with special requirements, testing, all accommodation, all that stuff, let me know. Hit me up with an email so I know that you're there. So, and tell me what your needs are. I can get that set up right now so there are no slips whatsoever. Because I know how aggravating that can be. Like if the professor, doesn't give you the accommodations that you need, you got to work through all that stuff. It's a bummer. So we're not going to let that happen. I'm going to make sure I stay on top of all this stuff. So get a hold of me right away. All right. Now, next, before we go through the, the learning, SLOs, student learning objectives and all that sort of stuff, which we'll do in the first modules, let's think about the materials that you're going to need, particularly going in the class right off the bat. There is really one required text, and I mentioned this in a email announcement I sent out earlier. It's just Robert Hazen's The Story of Earth, right? The second text is called Fossil Primates. And I'm going to call it highly recommended versus required. Here's the reason. There are no official sort of, exercises to do in fossil primates, things that are due in that book. It's just a great reference book. And it can really help you perhaps getting some of the labs. But I've also had students, especially my last summer students, that have said, Mercer, man, I got an A in your class easy without having to open up that fossil primate book. And that really realized to me that one of my jobs is to make sure that you spend as little money as possible getting this educational process because, it's expensive. I think that you can get away from that, having that fossil primate book if you're willing to do a little bit of Google searching, right? For some of the images and information that you need when we get to those sessions, right? So if money's tight, you can get away with just the Hazen book, right? The Story of Earth. And of course, it's available on ebook too. All right. Anything else? We're going to be doing some laboratory exercises. We'll be coming from workbooks, various workbooks that I have, and I'll be providing those for you. They'll be, high resolution PDF copies, right? All right. Now let's look at how you're graded. That's one thing on the very first day. People will go, how do I get my coveted grade? So real quickly, here it is. That what you have here is 270 points that you have to accumulate. For the very top score. Of course, that's not what you need for an A. What you need for an A is 243 points for Bob. For a B, 242 points, right? Or 216, 242. You can see the breakdown. I've got it axed down by points, and those are by percentage lines. And how you earn those points is by three major groups of assignments. The very first one is actually a major project in which you're going to be doing in the class. And that major project is something that's due at the very end of the class, and we'll be dedicating pretty much module 1 towards gaining the information that you need to really get a good start, a healthy start, to try to get you those full points for that project. Now, next are laboratory assignments. They are 9 of those. They're worth 10 points each. And lastly, there are quizzes. So we have 3 40-point quizzes totaling 120 points. All those points together, 270. So what can we expect grade-wise, and what have I seen in the past? Well, laboratory assignments, I think most people do well in those. I would say 80% of you will get every single point out of those. I'm just looking for completeness, and a really, a good stab at the answer doesn't always have to be right. But if you made a pretty good stab at the answer, you're going to get the full points. This is if you're missing questions, you're not doing the full thing. That's when you lose points into it. So I think it's just a matter of just doing the work to get your full points. Now, the Earth timeline history, I will be giving a rubric of what I want you to do. And if you follow the rubric, you'll get an A. all the way up to the very top. And particularly if you sort of start it and work through it in class, through the movement of class, from the beginning of class all the way to the end versus starting at the last week will make a big difference on your score on that. But those who sort of stay with it do really well too. And the quizzes, it's highly variable. I think my average on the quizzes is around 85.5%, somewhere out of the mid B line. I do curve the quizzes. And said and done, this is sort of where the average grades fall in the class. So 45 to 50% of the students in this class traditionally have gotten B's in the class. 24 to 26% A's, somewhere in that. 10 to 12% C's, maybe 1 or 2% below. The ones that are below are generally just sort of drop off the radar, so don't do that. Just don't sort of disappear. Make sure you try to drop the class or let me know what's going on. Okay. Now, as far as how I feel about borderlines. So let's suppose you look at the A. Suppose that A's start at 243 points above, right? And you have 242 points in class, 241, 240. What am I going to do? I'm going to give you the A, of course. If you've done 89, 88%, of course I'm going to throw you over the A line. I mean, those are just discrepancy when it comes to grading. I mean, I don't know what professor would not do that. We're not gods. I mean, everything is, I have to tell you, we use rubrics to grade everything you do. I try to be as careful as I can to make sure everything's absolutely fair. But that doesn't guarantee that if you're with a percent or two of borderline that you don't deserve to get over the top. I mean, I owe that to you to push you over that. So let you know that if you're looking, 89%, 88%, you're like, oh, there goes my A. No, I'm gonna pop you over the top. Okay, so don't worry too much about that. But if you get below that, if you're starting to get below the borderline or the B line, I can't. I can't ethically do that. So I hope you understand that I also know what it's like to be a student, but I can't. So know that there are going to be those little small percentage or two that I'll pop you above, but below that it's going to be pretty solid grading. Okay. All right. Now, last thing to think about. We talked about those 3 quizzes that are going to happen in the class. I'll tell you when they're going to come, so we can stay on track with everything. To begin with, the first module has absolutely no quiz involved in it whatsoever. What we will have is a quiz at the end of module number 2. So if you look at the syllabus and scroll down, you'll see that that date is September 24th. That's when your first lab quiz is. Your second lab quiz will be at the end of module 3, and that date is October 29th. And your last lab quiz will be December 13th. But here is the caveat with this. December 13th is the last day of class. What I'm going to do is open up that quiz on the 9th. So you can take it anywhere between the 9th and the 13th. So you can take any of those 4 or 5 days you want to do the quiz. So for those of you who want to cut out of town, like you're done with the class, you feel confident, you can take the quiz. For those that you just want to stay to the last minute because you got the classes going on or whatever, I'll let you have all the way up into midnight and the last day of the class sort of closes. So that's sort of how the grading sort of works. All right. Now, as far as the other subtleties about the syllabus and the flow of the course, I'm going to discuss that in the very first assignment of Module 1. So I'm releasing this video, right, and it could be before the start date of the class. So today is the 19th. I'm going to open the course today and make this video available at that point. So if you're watching this early on, those modules aren't going to be up. I'm not publishing those until Monday. So don't freak out. Oh, modules aren't there. What happened? No, they won't be available till Monday for you to actually look at, because that's officially when the course opens up. I actually can't. That's my policy. The course, sort of the Department of Policy, we can't publish the course earlier because it would give students an unfair advantage, right? But it will be available. I'll put it up at like 6 a.m. on Monday for you to have a look at. Okay, so until then, right, I'll see you guys then, and I'll have another lecture like this that starts to introduce some of the introductory material for the class. Bye.